Oh, hello there everybody, welcome back to another Olexa Top 10 video. Today we're drifting away from the normal Top 10 theme and we're going way broader. Today we're looking at 12 of the best unknown roguelites on Steam or on your favorite consoles or even on itch.io. It should be noted this is not a top 12. I don't want to rank these games. You can do that for yourself once you've tried them. This is simply a list of 12 really great roguelites. If you're unaware of what a roguelite even is, I recommend you watch my video explaining the difference between roguelites and roguelikes found in the description down below. I'm going to try to go into this group unbiased and show you the pros and the cons of each game, but you're going to have to make final decisions for yourself. Now I know what you're going to say, Tyler, these games aren't unknown to everybody. Hell, these are some of people's favorite games, and that's true. However, I did at least have a small strategy for listing these. All of these games have concurrent player counts that are not in the top 300 games played on Steam. I also want to note that there are tons of great roguelites out there that I may not even know about yet. Share those in the comment section so everyone can learn about all of these great games. Without further ado, let's hop right in. Blazing Beaks. Bright colors, cute birds, and guns? Yeah, I can mess with that. Blazing Beaks is a roguelite shooter that focuses around advancing through a series of 3 main areas with 3 main bosses, fighting enemies and getting coins to buy future upgrades. Seems like a standard roguelite here. Wrong. Blazing Beaks' twist involves its use of artifacts. These artifacts are pickups that you can buy or pick up that give you negative stat effects, but can then be exchanged for better and stronger weapons later. This risk-reward system makes the gameplay unique and fresh, balancing both skill and strategy. Play as any of the current characters in the game, including penguin, bluebird, platypus, duck, parrot, and chicken, and see how far you can get in Blazing Beaks. Oh, and did I mention the game now has Steam Workshop capabilities so you can make your own characters? The game is still in early access, but it's incredibly polished and plays really well. The only downside I have with it are early game levels can be fairly repetitive, as it only has 4 main bosses that you'll fight in each region. That said, with early access, there's still a lot more content coming. Check it out. Dungreed. I know I've expressed my disinterest in Dungreed in the past, and I'll mention that here shortly, but I still feel like it's only fair to put it on this list. Dungreed is a side-scrolling platformer roguelite that takes major inspiration from games like Rogue Legacy. Dungreed's combat is some of the best you're going to have on this list, and I mean that sincerely. The movement and melee combat feels so good, and the game's guns you unlock later are incredibly satisfying and fun to use. It's a pretty expansive game. You can eventually play as 11 different characters, unlock hundreds of weapons, and fight in over 15 floors. Dungreed balances stat upgrades in a unique way, using realistic food dishes to increase certain stats and limiting the player to only so many dishes based on their hunger stat. Where I feel that Dungreed falls short is in its repetitive nature due to certain weapons just simply being stronger than others, and a really strange unlock system where major features of the game, such as guns and extra characters, are not actually unlocked for many hours of gameplay. There's simply so many changes that I could make to put this game into the top 10 roguelites of all time, but it just falls a bit short. That said, Dungreed has fantastic combat, and I'm positive you're going to get a good amount of hours out of this game, as it's still very fun. Caveblazers. Caveblazers is a cave-based roguelite packed with a lot of action, and I mean a lot. At first glance, you may be tempted to make a comparison to Spelunky, but honestly, these games are so different that it's unfair to make that connection. Caveblazers focuses around dungeon crawling through destructible levels, collecting a wide variety of fun, unique weapons, fighting hordes of enemies, upgrading your character, and fighting bosses as well. You start with a base sword and bow that you can then change to get stronger and better weapons over time, as well as other additional collectibles that improve your run. There's over 20 different perks in the game as well that give you different loadouts at the start of your run, and tons of unlockable customization options to make your character truly your own. This game definitely slipped under the radar for me, and I was incredibly surprised when I hopped into it, as it's a fully fleshed out, high quality game with a lot going on. Combat can be a little bit frustrating early as the controls are a little bit slippery, but you get used to it quickly. The learning curve is pretty steep though. I mean, this is a very, very hard game, and I've struggled to get past like floor 4 of this. I have no idea how deep this game actually goes in terms of number of floors, but It's a lot of fun. It also has some local multiplayer, so grab a buddy, hop in, explore the mines and temples of Caveblazers. Have fun. Streets of Rogue. Streets of Rogue is a unique roguelite that came out in 2016 and is slowly starting to gain some traction as the next big roguelite game out there. Rocking overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam right now, this action-fighting city explorer combines dungeon crawling, upgrading weapons, and searching for loot with a mission-based system. On each floor, you are given main tasks you must complete before you can exit the floor. This could be killing a certain person, blowing up a generator, or freeing a gorilla. Oh yeah, there's a lot of gorillas. On some floors, certain events will occur, such as human-seeking killer robots or meteors falling from the sky. There's over 15 playable characters and tons of weapons and items to come across. Oh, and did I mention there's Twitch integration? The game is still only in early access with a full release coming soon, but it's definitely worth checking out now as you're going to get a very complete game right out the gate. Utilize its online and local multiplayer, grab a friend or 2 or 3, and jump into the action today. There's not a lot of downsides to Streets of Rogue. It possibly has the most replayability on this list with its character list, and it's just really good. Check it out. Dicey Dungeons. This is slowly becoming one of my new favorite games to play. Dicey Dungeons is the next big game worked on by Cavanagh, the creator of VVVVV and Super Hexagon. This turn-based roguelite has drawn a lot of comparisons to Slay the Spire for me. The game focuses around collecting items and weapons that you activate with your dice. Your RNG-based dice rolls determine what weapons you play on each turn as you traverse through the 5 floors of the game. You gain new items that you have to decide how to play or how to fit them into your deck, so to speak, which is basically just a little backpack that has the cards of the items that you collect. There's currently 6 different characters in the game, all with incredibly unique playstyles. Each character also has 6 different quests, or game modes if you want to call them that you can play, giving the game a large amount of replayability. This was an incredibly fun game for me to check out, and it had me craving hopping right into another run, as each run is only about a half hour long, which for me is like the perfect length for a roguelite. This is one of the games with the most potential on this list and is absolutely worth snagging once it comes to Steam. Or, hell, before it comes to Steam. It's currently available for $7.50 on itch.io. And you can actually even wishlist it on Steam right now. I'm going to leave both of those links in the description. Overall, this game is a real solid 9 out of 10 on this list, and you should absolutely check this one out. Gloom. Gloom is an incredibly dark platforming roguelite game with tight controls, a brutal death system, and an absolutely phenomenal eerie soundtrack. You play as a character trying to make sense of a mystery you once knew about before suffering severe amnesia. All well and good until you're fighting monsters twice the size of you. You always start with a base melee weapon and a base ranged weapon that you can then upgrade throughout your run. This gives you 2 different main ways to attack. Taking a simple room after room platform style game and combining it with a roguelite is surprisingly fairly original, and it plays really well. You can count on having a shop or an item room every few rooms of combat, and these are vital for succeeding in the game. The dark black and white grayscale style pixel art and the ominous soundtrack are incredibly well done as well. Gloom is the kind of game that defines easy to pick up and learn, but difficult to master. It really is a difficult game, and this is one of its main pitfalls. It also goes on sale for $2 a lot, so it's an easy buy for many hours of good gameplay. It may not be for everybody due to its darker themes, but if you're a roguelite fan, you gotta pick it up. Monolith. Monolith is the stereotypical don't judge a game by its cover. This old school style top-down shooter is a hidden gem that people may be put off by due to its graphics, but you can't let that be a reason for why you don't pick it up. Each run you explore a large abandoned facility looking for incredible power and come across enemies and bosses standing in your way. Throughout the game, you'll continuously upgrade your weapons and gain new abilities to help you fight and maneuver. The game does have a floor layout system very similar to games like The Binding of Isaac or Enter the Gungeon, so if you played those games, you'll see some similarities here. This is arguably the most bullet hell game on this list, so I feel you can equate some of the fights and dodging to Enter the Gungeon, but really it is completely different. Another great feature in this game is the ability to toggle upgrades on and off that you receive. This allows you to try out new things and create combinations that you really enjoy to give you the best chance of winning a run. The game also has one of the best electronic soundtracks in any game I've played. It may be the best value on this list for its price. The only downfall I have is the game could look prettier if you're not into the 8-bit style graphics, but the gameplay makes it a hidden gem, and at its low price of just $8, it's a shame this isn't in your Steam library. Loot Rascals. Loot Rascals is arguably one of the most unique games on this list. Unlike the other games, this one is actually closer to a roguelike than a roguelite. It has turn-based combat using cards you loot throughout the game. How you organize these cards in your inventory and then handle new cards you receive can lead you to either quick success or very quick failure. I love the idea of card game roguelites, and while a game like Slay the Spire is light years above Loot Rascals in my roguelite list, this game is unique enough to put here. However, I put it on this list cautiously for a few reasons. This game is brutal. Roguelites are hard, I get it. This is hands down the hardest game on this list that I'm going through. I played several hours of this game, I never managed to get past the second floor. The art is also really weird, which is a turn off to some people, but I can't emphasize enough that this game has some really interesting gameplay, and it's unlike anything else I've ever played, and for that, I have to recommend it. Manaspark. This is one of my favorite hidden gem roguelites that I've been supporting for years now, and it finally came out on Steam. Manaspark is a very stereotypical roguelite, but it moves a bit slower than others and has very satisfying combat. The majority of the combat centers around ranged, bow-based weapons, which is a bit more unusual for the games on this list. You may think this makes the game go slower, but for me, this slower gameplay simply creates more strategic gameplay. Your placement in each room can make or break whether you live or die, and you can spend some time deciding how you want to play a given room. It should also be noted that the difficulty ramps up in this game. It gets really difficult really fast, but that shouldn't stop you on seeing if you can get in there and get past the dragon that I never got past. One small issue with Manaspark is that if you're into super quick, fast-paced roguelites, this just simply isn't your game. It's much more of a strategic roguelite with small bursts of action, which is not a bad thing in the slightest. Wizard of Legend. Wizard of Legend will fill that little part of you that's been craving a really good magic-based roguelite. The game focuses loosely around a story where you are a budding wizard learning to use arcana in a competition, but instead get sent back into a time frame where you genuinely needed magic. Throughout your runs, you'll encounter more arcana that you can then choose to start with. There's so many synergies between different arcana that you can spend a really long time trying different combinations until you eventually find the one you like the best. I do have some small problems with Wizard of Legend that follow in the same camp as Blazing Beaks and Dungreed. There are certain combinations in the game that are simply more powerful than others, and it isn't in your best interest to try out other combinations when you have a greater chance to win not experimenting with them. The bosses are the same on each run, and floors can be a bit repetitive. That said, even with the repetition, the mixture of arcana and relics you'll get make every run different, and the gameplay is some of the best from the games on this list. Grab a friend, try out the local multiplayer, and enjoy this magical gem. Flinthook. Flinthook is a unique one on this list because it lacks one major feature of roguelites. It doesn't have that start from scratch every run in the same place kind of gameplay. Flinthook actually has a storyline. You play through missions and quests to beat certain bosses and further advance in the game, however the core gameplay loop makes it still fall under the roguelite list for me. The two main gameplay features Flinthook presents are your grappling hook and your ability to slow down time. I'm a stickler for grappling hooks in games, and by slowing down time you can make certain fights look like your 007 himself. The only major issue with Flinthook is that sometimes the background graphics make it really difficult to see what's going on. You can lose sight of enemies and items really easily, and I'm not positive that's supposed to be the challenge of the game. Get in there and get swinging because it's going to take you a while to beat this one. Neon Chrome. Finally, that brings us to the future. Neon Chrome is a futuristic top-down twin-stick shooter that takes the gunplay of a game like Enter the Gungeon and combines the fully destructible environment like Spelunky. The unique twist about Neon Chrome is that similar to an RPG, you actually permanently upgrade and improve your character with every run you play. You gain credits by defeating enemies, bosses, and floors that you can then use to increase stats like health, luck, damage, and choose from over 4 dozen different enhancements that can improve your runs tenfold. By having every floor be completely destructible, those of you that enjoy your explosions will have fun blasting through the levels, obliterating everything in your path, but you can also choose to play more strategically. One issue with Neon Chrome is there isn't a lot of variety in its weapons like other roguelites, and comparing a game like Enter the Gungeon, there's a vast difference between the number of items, but Neon Chrome's theme and gameplay itself are top tier. The game does also support 2 to 4 players in a shared local screen co-op, so grab a friend and hop right in. Hopefully this video helped to show you some other roguelites you might not know a lot about. These games are a ton of fun, and I promise you will get your money's worth on these amazing games. If you have a roguelite that you really enjoy that may not be known by others or even myself, put them in the comments down below so we can chat about them. Let's get these lesser known gems known. If you enjoyed, please like the video as that helps me out a good deal. You have a great day. Goodbye.